Happy new moon. Thank you for being here with me. It's literally, let's see, what time is it right now? 6:48 p.m. Pacific time on Thursday, February 27th, 2025. The new moon, 9 degrees Pisces, was exact at 4:45 p.m. Pacific time. So it's basically 2 hours after the exact new moon, and I don't know, I was moved to say something. I don't even know where I'm going to post this something. I'm sitting with how I want to share and be part of community and be connected with you, while at the same time not feeling so driven by advertising and keeping up and liking and loving and all that stuff. So I'm in a space of not knowing around that. And with new moon in Pisces, I feel like it's very fitting to be initiating or choosing or opening up to a brand new beginning around feeling into things, right? Because Pisces isn't about overthinking. It isn't about rationalizing. It isn't about hustle to change things or name things. In fact, there's a spaciousness and a timelessness that emanates from this field of energy. And I think I miss the boat sometimes because I'm pushing to get the right word. And I love words. It's probably never going to change. I love to read. I love to write. I love to speak. I love to share. I love to play on words. Yeah, but with this new moon in Pisces, I think the invitation is really, what's a new way of connecting with each other and with something more than what I see in front of me? And I think that requires feeling, and I think that requires a psychic sensitivity that we all have. We just don't all consciously maybe lean into it. So let me grab my Sabian symbol book. There's this new moon in Pisces, 9 degrees Pisces, 40 minutes. So we're going to look at 10 degrees Pisces. Some of my students have already heard me go on about this. 10 degrees Pisces. And if you don't know what Sabian symbols are, there are different books. I'm reading from Dane Rudhyar's An Astrological Mandala. And Sabian symbols is at a certain point in time, someone intuited an image for every degree of the zodiac. So it's really cool sometimes to look and see, for example, the degree of your sun sign or your moon sign or your Venus or your Mars or anything in your chart. What's the Sabian symbol? And so the books we have on Sabian symbols, we can read the words that depict the image. And then there are some interpretive thoughts. But it's also cool just to invite the space to feel, which would be more of a Pisces thing. So I'm going to read the Sabian symbol for 10 degrees Pisces. In this particular way of working with Sabian symbols, we round up. So the 9 degrees Pisces, 40 minutes ends up being 10 degrees. And this is what it says. An aviator pursues his journey, flying through ground obscuring clouds. So sometimes we can't see everything clearly. At least we think we can't see everything clearly. Sometimes with Pisces, things seem foggy. They seem trippy. They seem distorted. They seem surreal. And oftentimes that's the unconscious coming through. And we, depending on how comfortable or rooted we are in our own separate sense of self, having a strong ego, which we all need, we need to be able to hold the sense of self to not be drowned in the unconscious or in the what we might call alternate dimensions or realities. within ourselves and without. So one of the things I'm thinking about with this new moon in Pisces and leaning into the spaciousness and the things that are not about the past or the future, but are always now, and the things that can never be destroyed or ever go away because they just are. The things that are much more of a spiral versus a linearity. That we talk about past lives, and I'll continue to talk about past lives because they're part of my practice and part of my linear understanding. But I don't really think they're past. I think everything's happening now. So in this Pisces space, to experience more of that, we need a reference point of a separate, time-bound, space-bound self. Otherwise, the no-thingness or nothingness and the spaciousness and the timelessness wouldn't be a thing. So, with Pisces, how can we sit in the thing that is no thing? How can we sit in the time that is no time? And how can we start a new relationship with a self that is connected with everything else without losing the self? And I've been playing around with consciousness in general and doing some reading on Carl Jung and exploring different ideas around different things. And this may not be new to some of you, and many of you probably heard me say it because whenever I start geeking out on something, I can't help myself from wanting to share it wherever I go. But the sun glyph, let's see if I have a piece of paper I can use here. I think most of you know what the sun glyph looks like, but in case not, it's a circle with a dot in the middle. And we typically say that the circle, the symbology of the circle, when it comes to the glyphs and the circle in general, is spirit or interconnectivity. It's everything. Everything as one. And the dot in the center with the sun glyph, we would say, well, that's myself. That's my separate sense of self. There's a dot. There's me in the middle. But I'm coming to understand that sun glyph, from a more Piscean view, is where I'm going with this, is that unconsciousness is that dot in the center. Unconsciousness is really what holds everything. Unconsciousness really is what's driving everything. And that truly, around the outside of that circle, all around the periphery, are the little points of perspective where we might find ourselves manifesting parts in our psyche, different experiences, different vantage points of this interconnectivity, but held by the unconscious. So I guess what I'm saying is, for me, there's been a reframing of consciousness at the center to be reframed to unconsciousness at the center. And so it's really about, how do I have more consciousness of what's coming up from the unconscious? And in many ways, that's not leaving the unconscious. That is actually going into it more and exploring it more with a sense of consciousness. So I probably now sound very trippy and a little weird or out there, but it's just giving me a sense of self in a different way. And some of you know that I'm very passionate about my practice, living planets first. And this year, ever since my birthday in July, I chose to live the sun first. So the sun glyph and all things about the sun and what it represents have been extra important to me this year. And so the idea that what I used to think of as me at the center, now, or consciousness at the center, and now feeling the richness of the unconsciousness that holds me and holds life. That, to me, is leaning into this new moon in Pisces. Right? This experience of what's a new way to understand myself? The dot that is me in the big circle that is life, that is everything. And if it's helpful for you to have, some more, tangible or correspondence words for this new moon in Pisces, if you're setting intentions, making wishes, imagining this seed that for all of us collectively and individually right now is either being or was planted that will grow, right? Again, with Pisces, there's nothing to fix. What do I need to accept as it is? Pisces is wholeness. How do I see things in their wholeness? Not one side, not one part, not good without the bad, or good without the evil, or dark without the light. How do I embrace wholeness? Where do I need to forgive? Where do I need to make an allowance and allow for what's actually happening? And how does that allowing of what is already happening, meaning it's happening anyway, so it's a little bit silly to think that I would think I would be able to tinker with it in any fashion. Really what I'm tinkering with is my own consciousness around things, not the thing that's already happening. So maybe part of the new intention here can be, how do I tune in or reattune to more of what's already happening? So that I can then work within that what is already happening instead of sometimes fighting against what's already happening. And that doesn't mean that there's not ways to make things better, to help, to heal, right? The polarity point to Pisces is Virgo, and there are things that are important to lean into adjusting, to healing. And then there are things that are meant to be as they are. And so the balance between them here. What things are worth my tinkering and they'll actually be better? And let's think about the word better. Does it really help? See, Pisces is an archetype of healing and helping and recovery and respite and sanctuary and vision and inspiration and imagination. So when we're doing something or being a certain way or leaning into something, saying something, doing something, whatever words work for you here, is it opening or expanding that field of understanding? You don't have to like it, but is it expanding that? Is there more compassion? Is there room to understand a bigger picture? Is there room to allow more of life to happen around you that's already happening anyway, so that you're not so disconnected from it that you can't be touched, that you're not touchable? Because Pisces at the heart of it is touchable, collectively touchable, independently touchable, right? We feel. So revisioning, setting intentions or wishes or planting that seed to see things with a bigger scope, to take that camera and open the aperture, let's let it be a wide angle. Let's not narrow it into one little spot. Let's see the wholeness. In fact, let's put a fisheye on it and watch it get funky and watch those things bend and distort. That actually shows us that there's a limit to what the order that our own eyes or minds make of things, that there's something beyond that. And perhaps that it's an illusion anyway. So this playing around with things. Returning to nature. Maybe it's an intention to do something or connect with nature or your spirituality or dreams or your art, your creativity, your music. Maybe you're a singer and it doesn't have to be public, but you're not singing. Maybe you like to draw, but you're not drawing. Maybe you like to dance, but you're not dancing. Maybe you really want to be out helping people, but you stay home. So what can How can you step out and be more touchable, personally touchable, in a more collective scale? We sometimes think about this energy as far as making the impersonal more personal and making the personal less personal. But there's still a person in that. There's still a self in that. There's still a heart in that. There's still a human in that. So how might we bridge those things is my feel for today. And, I didn't get into the specific transits and things with this new moon in Pisces, because that means that any time, in some ways, that we have a new moon in Pisces or we work with Pisces energy in general, that this content can be relevant. And even if you just need to have a little Pisces infusion, maybe Pisces is something important in your particular birth chart. Maybe it's just speaking to you right now. And you can have a lean in to that grace, to that space where you can find a way to float. Even when you're having to be active and do things in your life, something holds you, right? There's something that holds you, so everything doesn't have to be such a push. Maybe I push a little bit here, right? But then something lifts me here. So how can I connect more with that thing that lifts me here, or that thing all around me that holds me while I do my own individual dance? The personal and the collective. How do I make that more intimate? And at the same time, let go of some of my personal attachments to things. So intimacy with something greater that includes me, but that doesn't have to exclude so many other things. Okay. Thank you, everyone. It's a blessing being in community with you, and I'm thankful for you. Until next time.